Hey guys, welcome to What in the World? Steve! Today, I'd like to talk to you about the baton holder, number 4. Okay, so going back to the future again, when I first joined the clan, the first or second day in, after giving the so-called red pocket to the first big bro, I get a call, right? And then it's one of those emergency calls, the one that where they blow the whistle, and then they go, hey, there's something going on, man. We gotta go out. So it's my first experience. So I go to the venue that they selected. It was this restaurant back in Chinatown in the day, right? And then it was in the afternoon yum cha time, like around lunchtime. So I went to the restaurant and then expected to see a negotiation. And then it was the first time that I sat with my general, yeah, my brethren. And yeah, the world works in very mystical ways because when you're destined to meet someone and you're destined to be good bros together. Yeah, the first time I went to the restaurant, I saw him and then we actually sat together. And then there was about two or three tables of all our bunch of people, because they were expecting to negotiate with someone. In Chinese they call it CC lok lok, which is 60-40 to settle a negotiation to resolve their conflicts. Because I guess the great thing about the underworld in that arena is that if you have conflicts and stuff, you negotiate about it first and have a talk about it and communicate about it before you decide to go into war. Yeah, so that's really beautiful, I reckon. Because everything can be communicated, right? Yeah, you don't have to straight up "Hey," and then start fighting. Yeah, let's just communicate and calm down first and do some yumcha, and then it could be resolved. So that's actually a pretty wise method, passed on from generations to generations. But because I was so green there, and then that was the first baton holder when I first entered the arena, and this guy that was the baton holder number 4 in the chair. It was such a classic. Like he was wearing the traditional Chinese clothes. Yeah, I still remember to today. It was what do you call it? It was that light coffee tea color. Yeah, it's like champagne color sort of thing. Yeah, and he was holding a fan. The manual ones, the ones that you have to manually cool yourself with. Yeah, and he had a pair of square gold glasses and the only thing he was missing was one of those elephant filters, man, with a cigarette, man. They put the elephant tooth and then they put on the cigarette. Yeah, yeah. Or did he have one? Yeah. Yeah, and I was waiting for him to look at his hand to see if he had a jade and gold ring and stuff, man. It was so a movie and it's just so traditional, yeah. Yeah, but we're sitting there and then we finished lunch and then the boys go, hey, get up, let's go. And I go, well, where are we going? He goes, oh, they've cancelled the negotiation, so nothing's going on today. So okay, you're free to go. And I went, okay, that's good. So, but I wanted to experience what they wanted to say, how they talk and stuff. Is it really like the movies? But yeah, I just ended up having a free lunch. But that's where I met my first general. Oh well, that's where I met my general. And yeah, I'm so blessed to have known him. But coming to think back to it now, that's the first person I knew. I sat down and I go, hey, hey, you know, yeah, very good memories. But an experience that I only have with the fourth Baton holder was because he got a warrant for his arrest as well, so he went inside. So when he went inside, the third Baton holder, had to come back down and sit back on the chair. He goes, oh man, our Baton holders went in, so you've got to come and sit down and continue, just holding the chair for a while up until we vote for a new one. So yeah, that's why he's probably drinking and he gets drunk and goes, line up, guys. So much stress, man. What have you done for the clan? Oh, nothing. Bang. That one. Yeah, yeah, the one that I said I'm bowing and I'm going, oh, okay, bye bye, elder. He goes, selling man. There's no bloody need to bow. Just go. Yeah, so that's Baton holder number 4. So throughout my time, yeah, I've gone through about 4 Baton holders in my time. Yeah. I mean, what in the world, Steve? But more for you later. Have a nice day and stay warm, man. Yeah. Bye. See you. Oh yeah, I forgot the experience. The experience. Oh wait. The experience was that when it came out, I used to go to the casino a lot, and then be a full member there, and so I was always playing this one machine. Yeah, I wouldn't say what machine. Yeah, who cares? Jet setter. I used to love that machine. Yeah, I even won the jackpot. Yeah, but there's one time when the fourth Baton holder came out of prison, and then he walked past me because I was so addicted to that machine that I'd even sit in the chairs behind to wait for it. And then as soon as I saw the fourth Baton holder, I go, oh, elder, and then he looks at me and he goes, what is just sitting here for? Huh? I went, oh, I'm just waiting, for that machine, And then he goes, yeah, yeah, I haven't had a chance to sat with him much, but I saw him at the casino once and that was my interaction with him. Yeah, and well, the next interaction after that was when he wasn't here anymore, because we received news that he had passed. So yeah, just I think it's been 3 years now. Yeah, went to his funeral. Yeah, he's yeah, he's not with us now, but yeah, he was quite a character. And when you're in the enchanted forest, a lot of people have nicknames. Yeah, so a lot of our characters in our crew had a lot of nicknames. Yeah, and the nicknames are actually quite funny. Yeah, but in Hong Kong it's exactly the same thing. Yeah. So when I tell you, for instance, an example, I could go, oh, fat boy. Yeah. I mean, just fat boy's just one. But yeah, there are a lot of other names that are funny. Yeah. Anyways, that was the blooper, and have a nice day today, guys. It's pretty cold and wet out there, so make sure you wear good footwear and bring an umbrella just in case. Bye. See you.